Right, here we go. There's the back. Bringing it up, that's not too bad. Okay, let's get that sound going so you can hear me. Alrighty, so what do we need to do? We need to grab this body, and we've got that body. We need to get in there and drill those holes. I've got the drill bit too. I've got black hardware. It's got Mr. Glynn's Cruel Mistress vintage telly pickups, brass saddles, bone nut. It's all good. Where the weed at? What's going on? Thank you for the follow. Good to see you. Welcome on in. Who? Okay, so that's that guy there. But that's to show you that copper-looking red cedar when it really gets polished up. It really looks copperish.
Come here, little guy. Come here, my little boy. Hello. How you doing? How you doing? Hey? Good boy.
To go on top. So that's what we did there. That back's going to be sensational. That is so smooth. Very smooth. Ha! Absolutely. They are drums. They're percussion instruments as well as stringed instruments. They can be used. If you watch the old flamenco guys playing, the old Spanish guys, they're doing all that stuff. They're going tippa-tappa, tippa-tippa-dum, ring, 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 tippa-tappa, tippa-tappa, dum, ding, dong, dang. So it's all good. Right, here we go. There's the back. Bringing it up, that's not too bad. Okay, let's get that sound going so you can hear me. Alrighty, so what do we need to do? We need to grab this body, and we've got that body. We need to get in there and drill those holes. I've got the drill bit too. I've got black hardware. It's got Mr. Glynn's Cruel Mistress vintage telly pickups, brass saddles, bone nut. It's all good. Where the weed at? What's going on? Thank you for the follow. Good to see you. Welcome on in. Who? Okay, so that's that guy there. But that's to show you that copper-looking red cedar when it really gets polished up. It really looks copperish.
Come here, little guy. Come here, my little boy. Hello. How you doing? Hey? Good boy.
To go on top. So that's what we did there. That back's going to be sensational. That is so smooth. Very smooth. Ha! Absolutely. They are drums. They're percussion instruments as well as stringed instruments. They can be used. If you watch the old flamenco guys playing, the old Spanish guys, they're doing all that stuff. They're going tippa-tappa, tippa-tippa-dum, ring, 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 tippa-tappa, tippa-tappa, dum, ding, dong, dang. So it's all good. Howdy doody, everyone. Welcome to the show. Matty here from the Guitar Show in Sydney. We are at the stage where we're going to just finish the edges of this guy here, Odin, the old Viking metal dude. We're going to put some more burgundy or mahogany on the back of that. We've got the front done. We've got the scoops in there. There are our scoops. You can see the scoops in there. Our big fangs, our big dragon fang scoops, and we're going to pretty much get some variation and colour on the front of that as well. Terry, what's going on? Good to see you as well. It's starting to come along. There are our scoops. They're in. We've got our little flutes in there, right? Nice and steep, like the fangs. The fangs are in there. We need to get this guy tidied up around the edges and, of course, stained, and then we need to start working on colour on the top. How did we go yesterday with the neck? Well, the neck's pretty much done. I've got that other fret in there as well. So number one fret's been glued in. That ain't going anywhere. We can get that guy leveled and polished very shortly, but I want to let that sit around for a little while longer. Got the back colour, the colours taken to the back there. It's nice and red, or nice and brown. It's going a little bit burgundy, a little bit browner as it sort of just oxidizes a little bit and dries off. Might need another coat on that, just one more, to get it a bit browner, a bit darker. We'll hang that up there and let that sit for a while. I'm going to grab some 240, quickly hit these edges and see what they're like, give it a coat, and then come back to it. So I'm going to flick you to the bench and give you a closer look at those flutes. There they are there. You can see those flutes. They're nice and deep. Okay, nice and deep. That's what the person wanted. Nice long fang-like scoops in there, just to give it a little bit of contrast with the carve. You can see that accentuates the horns up through here. You get that rib coming through there. You get that rib coming through there. It just accentuates it a little bit more, gives it a little bit more venom, if you like. Tom, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. I'm going to quickly hit these edges with a little bit of 240, give them a coat, see what they look like, and that way I'll be able to pick up any other scratches and things we need to remove. So bear with me while I lift that up a little bit higher. Camera up there. We'll give this a little sand. Give that a coat before. Hey, Karen Dave, what are you up to, Missy Pooh? Good to see you on the stream. Working on our old Viking friend here. We've got our fangs in there, Karen. We've got the scoops carved. The big Viking fang, dragon fangs have bitten into this piece of chocolate. We're going to put some colour on that guy, but I'm going to do the edges first, and then, of course, we're going to do the back one more time. Okay, taken all the sand of that back and had a look at the scratches, taken them all out. We're good to go with one more coat on the back. We're going to do the edges now and get those exposed to get that thing going. What is happening? Look at that cake. It's all chocolate mud. You like chocolate mud. Karen's a big fan of chocolate mud. Cake, that is. Not wrestling. She probably likes a bit of a wrestle in the mud as well. Who knows? With Karen, you never know. Just going to get any roughness out of there, and we're going to give this a stain. It'll pick up any glue. I can see a little bit of glue out of here. I've got to just get rid of that, so I'm just going to quickly hit that with a little bit of stiff paper. That'll get rid of any bad glue residue. It's got most of it. Of course, we'll give this another rub back once we can see where the scratches and the evening out has to be. I need to get a coat on here, so that's what we're going to do now. Dana's in the house too. Dana, how are you? Good to see you. Excellent. The whole gang is coming in. The whole gang's coming in. doing as much as I can, cleaning up as much as I can. We will hit this again, obviously, but I need to get an initial coat on here. So that's what I'm focusing on right now, getting an initial coat on this guy. Not too happy with some of the seam along here. It's a little bit bumpy, but that's okay. We can smooth that out as we pick it up with the colour. The colour will help us look at any imperfections. Very hard to see on this light stuff. I can feel them though, but I need a visual. I need a visual as well. So there's our scoops. We've got our big scoops. You can see how deep they go. One on that side. One on that side, almost to the bottom of this cap. Nice and deep. They accentuate that rib through there. The big fangs of the dragon have gone bang into that big piece of chocolate. That's how Karen's fangs would go into that big piece of chocolate, I'd say. She'd take a big, massive bite out of it. Stuff her face. Mav, what's going on? Good to see you. Okay. Smooth out this stuff. There you go. Good. Okay, this edge to go, and then we'll put some colour on. You will eat all the chocolate. Karen, I have no doubt you will eat all the chocolate. Every last pound of it. Delicioso. I will try and leave you some, because I will also eat all the chocolate. I am a chocoholic, as you well know. That's pretty smooth. I'm going to give that a coat, and then it's going to show us all the blemishes. Say that word. Blemishes. Okay, let's grab a clean cloth. Just want to get that dusted down. Let's give that a bit of a wipe. As you know, I'm not a huge fan of colouring things, but I know it's worth the effort. It is definitely worth the effort, but I'm not a fan. It's a lot of work. It adds so much work to it. And of course, little things go wrong. You need to sand and start again and all that sort of stuff. At least we can sand and start again. We're going to go and do the mahogany around there now. I've got my little applicator rag here. I'm going to just cut a little piece. I don't need all that. Get a little swaddle going. A little sweetie swaddle. I'm going to hit this edge first. Whoopsie daisy. Okay, let's have a go at that. You can see there's a little bit of glue there, it's not taking. So I'm going to sand that out later. This will help me spot little things like that. There's a couple of little beads here and there. I'll put that on there and then we'll be able to sand that flat and then touch it up. See a little bit of glue patchiness there. Highlights it nicely, and then we can work at sanding that out before we apply the final coat. The end grain is always a little bit more absorbing, it's all a little bit more open, so it's going to suck that right down. You get a little bit of patchiness there, but that's why we always give it 2 or 3 coats and a sanding in between. We're going to graze that grain a little bit, we're going to suck some of that dye in there, and then we're going to get that leveled out and smoothed out. There's a nice big grain piece right there. It's giving us a bit of a problem, but that's okay, we'll sort it out in time. Just got to get that to drink up. Close up those pores and get them all absorbing that ink in there and raising that grain, and then just giving that a light sand and getting that nice and smooth and flat. The good thing about this dye is it does dry really quickly, so we can apply a second coat within half an hour or so. We'll apply this, let it dry for 15 minutes, and of course then we can sand it and give it another coat. Just working it into that grain. The end grain is always tricky. It just is all over the shop. It's uneven. There's lots of rings and all sorts of things happening. So we've got to get right in there and really give it a good touch up. Just working that in circles, rubbing it up and down across it and into the grain. flame on the edge there. That doesn't help either. Got to get into there and raise that. This side's nice and clean though. There's only a little bit of glue on the other side. This side looks pretty clean so far. No glue seams. I suspect there'll be some further up towards the horns. Yeah, there's a little bit there. Ooh. Some patchiness. There's a little bit of glue there. I've got to sand that guy off. More glue seam on the seam there on the horn, which is where I expected. A bit of patchiness here. I'm going to sand that a lot better than what I've done to date. Give that a drink. Get that guy to raise that grain. Get in there. It drinks it really quickly, like it's really patchy because it just drinks it straight away. Using one hand isn't great always. Got a little seam of glue down there. You can see that white patch there. I've got to sand that a little bit flush. Probably just a hair thickness higher there, and I haven't been able to get the sandpaper. I'm just going to wear that little corner off there and just round that over a little bit. And that'll fix it all up. Let's do the horns. Let's do the horns. Getting horny, so to speak. We're running out of, as the weight comes out, I need two hands to get this guy. Nice. A little bit of glue there. Got to do this every time. I've got a little tiny hole so I don't spill too much stain, so it's just dripping out drop by drop. Got a bit of sanding to do in there. Let's get over this hump here. Ooh, that's a lot of ink. Oopsie daisy, I've spilled the ink. It's never good. It's almost black in the grain there because it drinks so much of it. That's okay. We'll sand that out, and it will give it a multi shade effect. But that's the edges. That's what I want on the edges anyway. I want it to have that ribbony effect from red brown to black to brown to red to brown. It's going to just blend in. There's a lot of glue here that I need to get rid of. So I'm going to be doing some serious sanding after the show. I'm going to go to the body now, and I'm going to start putting that first coat of black on the front after I do these edges. And I'll do the sanding after hours because it's just boring for you guys. Okay, so at least I know where this guy needs work. Give it some of that. There's a lot of work on that horn. Now, when I say a lot of work, there's a lot of glue there. You can see that seam there. I just got to get the 80 grit in there and the 120 and just really work that glue flatten out. It might just mean that I take a little bit of that scoop out of there, scratch a lot of that out, but when I get it done, it'll actually end up looking pretty slick and clean. I won't do the back. What we're going to do is start working on the front. So, let me just keep that there, that rag. We're going to use that again. All right, so what have we got? We've got this guy here, all coloured. Let's go to the... So we've got the edges done as well, first coat. Okay, we've got to get the back done as well. There's the front. Okay, so it's starting to look darker and more ominous, more Viking. Put the horns on my head, start singing opera. Yeah, the end grain's really bad, Tom, but that's not too bad there. That's taken pretty well. That there is, you can see where the glue, just the little white bits in there, little white bits in there. A little bit of glue squeezed out and I couldn't see it, but it's obviously got a little thin film in there that won't grab the stain. So I'm going to work on that afterwards. What I need to do now is get the colours right on the top of this thing. So let's go back to the bench and let's see what we're going to do. Now, if you remember correctly, we had this guy, 3 colours. We're going to have a green moss through here growing on this. So this is a stump that's been burnt. And the blackness will be about there. Coming off that horn down about there. The rest is going to be, I'm going to leave some of that red. So I'm going to draw a little line just in pencil, just very lightly. Just going to squiggle that down. To about halfway. That's going to stay green. Now I've got a bit of moss growing down the bottom here. Like that and up. Okay, so that's going to be green, that's going to be black, and that's going to be brown. Okay, and we're going to feather that so that it looks like it's growing up. The moss grows in sort of columns. It's going to be feathered up into there, and of course that black stump is going to be black through here, but of course it's going to blend and feather at the top where the burning stopped. It's an interesting effect if I can get it right. But what I need to do first is get black and go over the whole area black. Terry, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to put a black canvas down, let it dry properly before I put the dark green in that bottom section. Am I doing the right thing by starting with a dark canvas? Lady of colour, please tell me. Nifty, what is happening? Bespoke is one word, Nifty. How are you, mate? Good to see you. It's going to be strange. That's what I say. It's going to be very strange. Yes, dark first. You are the best, Terry. Thank you for your advice. I appreciate it. And I'm about to get the black out and hit this thing with black. That's going to turn it a little bit interesting, don't you think? Terry, don't you think? Look at that black stain. This is lethal, this stuff. Meaning it stains like a bugger, so I can't spill it anywhere. Grab my little rag, use the same rag as I used. I don't mind if there's a little bit of mahogany in there because it's dry now anyway, but I'm going to get the black and I'm going to start down here. And this is definitely going black. And as you can see, it's black, but you can still see the red through it. I'm going very gently and just getting feathering that and giving it a bit of a burst in there. I've got to go up higher, all the way to there. I'm going to do all this black. So that black has actually turned out like deep cherry. We've got to keep going. Give the dark colour on there. We'll give it a couple of coats. Obviously, we control the depth and the darkness by layering. We do one layer, let it dry. Do the other layer, let it dry. And the two colours are blending and giving us a darker base. We've got to give that a couple of coats, of course. This is going to stop around about here. So I'm going to feather that. Just feather that edge. Keep it dark down here. Right there. Just feather those ends so we don't see it as prominent. And now we go for a clean piece of cloth and we'll go for a bit darker. Leave that for a couple of minutes, let that sort of dry. I'll show you what the other camera. So that's the first coat. You can see how it's starting to transition. If I can hold that and show you. There. Okay. Black on the bottom going up. It looks like a burnt stump. And then the wood up here is untouched. And we're going to have obviously a thin layer of moss down the bottom growing up towards those pickups, and probably not much higher than sort of the touch of the pickups there, but it's going to probably cover that large area here where the knobs are, where the control buttons are. So it's going to get there. Let's get another coat on there. I really need it to be striking black, as in charcoal, because fire burns. Just ask Karen Day and she'll tell you. The other beautiful thing about this is that it's spirit-based, so it's sort of dissolving into the previous layer. The grain is drinking that black now, so you're getting that burgundy or that dark brown in between the tiger stripe, that flame, and that quilt is going dark black. It's really going to be very, very textured and prominent, which is what I want, because I need it to look like, if you can picture a log that's been burnt and it's just an ember or just the remnants of coal, a piece of coal, it's all split and you can see those very dark veins through a log that's actually opened up as it burns. That's the effect I'm trying to get there through that middle section. Karen's there, she's burning away. Karen, we love it when you burn things. I'm not really burning it, but I'm trying to make it look like you took to it with a blowtorch. So let's give it a go. Let's get back to this guy here. Channeling my Terry at the moment. She's the artist here. And I'm channeling my Terry to see how I go. Terry, please send me energy and will me along. Will me along, Terry. Ooh, look at that. Look at that sexy colour. It's a dark, dark colour. Dark like my heart. Look at that. Still see the red through it, but it's getting darker as we go. Darker as we go. clean piece there that's not wet. And I'll just feather that and burst that edge. Just fade it away a little bit so it blends in. And then we'll just use, keep it nice and wet and dark. A couple of scratches showing up, that's okay. There's always going to be little, always. And as I go up, I don't go as, I keep it sort of dark in the middle here. Feather that like that. Feather that. Starting to get there. Okay. And there's the darkness. You can see it's starting to look a bit burnt through the middle there. A little bit of a difference, isn't it? You can still see that grain popping through there. There's a hint of cherry, a hint of mahogany. Just a very light red through there, but it's getting darker. Ashy remnants catching the light. Look, I like the way you put that, Dana. That sounds really good. What else did you say? Okay. Keep going. So I'm just going to rub that in. Let that dry. Of course, it's a little bit tricky as you go. I'm going to give that a little bit more darkness through here. Just dabbing it to give it that little sort of softened effect, that faded effect on the edge. I'll also give that a little bit of a burst coming from the dry side, touching the wet just to feather those edges. And as we can see, if I feather towards the grain, or with the grain, it pushes it into that grain. That grain's looking nice and black now. You can see that grain showing up there. Just feathering that, feathering that, feathering that. Like that. Okay, that's getting darker. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. Maybe another coat or two and we'll be in the realms. We need to let that dry. I'm going to hit the dark on the edges here, so it's burnt down here, and I'm going to take that burn right along the bottom as well. Understand what I'm saying? Even though I need to sand that bottom, I'm just going to hit that with a little bit more darker colour, just to burst that in there, so that it joins, that piece joins the other black piece, if you know what I mean. I also want to see what it does to the edge. It does blacken it up nicely. So you've got that two-tone coming off. So it looks like that log's been burnt right through. I won't do the edges, the rest of the edges, because I do need to sand this side and get some of those glue lines out. But we're just working on getting that base right. And I'm going to let it dry. That's a little bit wet now, so I'm going to leave that for a few minutes. We'll have a little chat, catch up. See what we need to do here. So, I know there's a little bit of flickering on the camera. Please bear with me. I have ordered another camera. Hopefully it'll be here in the next week and we can get that replaced. Let me get my specs on so I can read this silly screen properly. There's dust all over these. Let me clean those. Rightio, that's better. Put on my old man eyes. A little dab here, a little dab there. That's right, we need a dab command. Dana, get onto it. We need a dab command. Exclamation, dab. A new camera's on the way. Terry, exalted with joy. Obviously, she's suffering more than she cares to let on. Dab. Just a dab of glue, dab, 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 and Bob's your uncle. There you go. We already have a dab command. Terry, why didn't you say so? Let's get back to this. One more coat. Burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno. Burn, baby, burn. Dee, 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 dee. Burn, baby, burn. Dee, 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 dee. Or something like that. We go dark on the edges. There's a big chunk there. I don't know how I missed that. Anyway, I'm going to just concentrate on that edge and get that really dark. like a burst. And then you're going to feather that in, work it in. That's almost black now. Look, it's almost midnight red, midnight blood, midnight plum. What a colour. Colour is amazing. Need to feather that so I don't get too much residue build up. Just going to feather that lightly. Just blend that in. A little dab here, a little dab there. Leslie, 1984. I'm sort of gauging it by eye. I'm just looking at the light bouncing off it and I'm trying to gauge where it needs to be darker, where it needs to be light. I'll tell you what, when oil goes over this, you're going to see that flame pop. It's going to look amazing. Let's get this camera up to here and see how we're traveling. Okay. Still wet, as you can see. Hang on, let me grab this properly. There we go. Okay, so we're starting to get that burnt look, right? Charcoal through the middle, from the bottom up. Okay. Starting to work. Terry, is it working? Is that base starting to work? It's not quite black, but it's starting to look like it's burnt, if you know what I mean. Oh, it's coming along. Good. Excellent. So we'll keep going. Probably needs one more coat. I need to let that dry properly so there's no sheen there, so it's completely flat like that, like the top, a matte. Give us a true tint, the true depth of that colour. Okay, but that's, you can see how it's 2/3 of the way across, and at an angle, it's a little bit, a little bit random. Starting low and sort of like, as fire tends to travel uphill. If there's a limb on a tree that's up like that, you'll see fire climbing up one side of a trunk and up towards, and follow that gradient of that trunk to the limbs and keep going uphill. That hot air drags that, spirals those flames uphill. So it's got that effect that it's gone up the trunk that way. That's what I'm trying to sort of instill, if that makes sense, right? I'm trying to sort of make it look like it's actually been burnt, and you can see the stump down there. It's burnt through there. It looks it's really effective. I like that. You could even replicate that on the back if you wanted to really make it look like it's been dunked to there in fire and then pulled out. I mean, it's getting there. Now, Karen knows a lot about fire. Karen, am I right? Fire travels uphill real fast. Am I right there? I've seen a lot of bushfires, and that's what they seem to do. If you're on the top of a hill, you're pretty much done. Get the hell out of there and get downhill as soon as you can. Do the back too. Oh, Terry would like the back done as well. Absolutely, you would. Now, I'm going to probably do that after I give it another coat of the mahogany because I want it to start with the same base so we get a consistent tint and a consistent layering. So we'll leave the back till another time. Probably we'll do it later on. But I just want to let that dry for now and have a little chat with you guys. It needs one more coat. It's starting to look like it's burnt. If I show you here, you can see these grains now here as they dull, as the shine dies off. That looks like charcoal. It's starting to look like charcoal. Those black flat lines that, okay, it looks like burnt wood. In actual fact, if I hit that with a torch, with a blowtorch, that's what I would expect to see. Those end fibers would burn quickly and they'd go dark before the other cross fibers. So that end grain would go quickly. Karen knows, see? Karen knows. Leslie knows as well. All right, one more coat, nice and dark, because as it dries, it does lighten up. But this will give it that final really, really dark coat. I'm just going to go very liberal on it. Really, really, really pack it on. Start at this end, go up to here. Get those scoops nice and black. It can go lighter at the top because it is fading, remember. It's going to go heavy down the bottom here. Just paint that on. Get in there, get in those buttons, those holes for the controls. Feather that at the top there, but keep it nice and thick down the bottom there. Nice and black. And I can actually feather that in here now, like so. Need to break these edges up. Soften that. Dab some of that pooling. Make sure we don't pool and get a nice big shiny spot. That's the trick here. If you leave this, it will shine in patches. You've got to even it out so that it's flattened. And I'm giving it a bit of a textured look with the cloth as well. You can see it's a little bit mottled. Can you see that? It looks like a burnt piece of wood now. Okay, it's flattening. And when that dries, that'll really, really, really look good. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Guys, are you liking that? Tell me what you think. Just a little bit darker there. Main. The main camera. Let's have a look. Okay. All right, we're almost there, I'd say. It's pretty close. Pretty close. You can see the carve now. That really stands out, doesn't it? You can see the contours there. It's looking good. I like that. And of course, we'll get that edge black once we clean those glue marks off the edge of the seam there that you can see. That glue will come off. We'll get that nice and black, that edge, to match that edge there. We'll obviously do the back as well. That's starting to come up now. Unique and interesting. Thank you, Dana. That's a nice way of saying you hate it, but you like that I'm doing it anyway. I'm kidding. I know you mean it genuinely. I'm only joking. You know me. Don't take me seriously. No one ever has and no one ever should. Okay. Unless I come at you with a big cleaver, then take me very seriously. All right. In the bin, we go with that. I think I'm done with the black there. What I'm going to do now is start working on, just let that dry for a little bit. We'll grab that neck down. I'll show you guys the neck that we did. It probably needs one more coat because I want to get it nice and dark. In actual fact, wouldn't it be nice putting that neck in there? Wouldn't it be nice if I stained a bit of black there to show that the neck got burnt as well? Because that's like a branch, a limb. Even leaving it like that, there's enough black in there to make it look really good. I like the contrast, actually. What do you guys think of the contrast? Does that look good? Is that a nice contrast? I like the browns and the golds among the blackness of that piece. Yeah, Terry, I get it. Burning stuff is cool. Love the look of a torch over wood. Hits the grains at different times. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, they all burn at different rates and things. So remember, that's not staying. That part there is going to be green, a mossy green. A mossy green. I hope he likes it. God, he better like it. Because then I'm stuck with a left-hander that I can't play. I'll have to learn to play left-handed or sell it to a lefty. There we go. So that's looking all right, isn't it? It's looking all right. I like the combinations. Those colours are really bringing it out now. Imagine that with a bit of oil on it too. It'll darken up nicely and it'll look $1,000,000, as they say in the industry. Do they say that in the industry, Terry, or am I just pretending that that was said? I don't really know. Okay. We've got to get another coat of colour on this guy here while that's drying. Let's pop that aside. Let's get this some more colour on this guy here. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to leave it the red, the burgundy, with another of that, a layer of that. So I'll grab another clean piece. The fretboard grain is so nice. It is nice. It's a beautiful fretboard, and I didn't want to waste that board. I wanted to use it. It's a beauty. It's a ripper, as they say. New little swizzle cloth. Swatch. A little bit of mahogany. Give it a shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your mahogany. Do, 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 do. Lots of it on there. Get the dark, rich colour coming through. Look at that flame. Isn't that beautiful? She's a ripper. That's the one. I love that flame on that neck. Look at that flame. When it gets dark, it really just pops, doesn't it? That's pretty. Is that nice or what? That's pretty good, isn't it? Look at that. That looks fantastic. Look at that. Wow. That is a pretty piece of wood. And that's blackened up now. Now you can see that's sort of matted over. It goes a little bit darker. The grain looks like it's actually being torched. It looks like soot. It looks like coals, you know. it's nice and dark, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? And in actual fact, because of the end grain drinking up a lot of it, you get a lot of black through there. So it does look like it's sort of burnt in places. It's an interesting result. I think I'm getting a good result with that. I really like that. That's a stunning neck, that. The colour combo. You like it, Terry. That's great. I'm glad that you like it, because I would be upset if you didn't like it. I would be very, very saddened if you didn't like it. Get that richness in there. Try and get it even more than anything. Don't forget the edges, Terry. Always. Don't forget the edges. We need to do, so yeah, that's dry. Let's try and put that there. Put that guy over. Smash that there like that. Just hit this headstock. Get that guy looking better than what it looks like at the moment. Cutaway. Get into that little corner with the brush. No white little marks left anywhere. There we go. Better. Nice and even. We like it to be nice and even, do we not? A little bit of a dab there. There's a little. Okay. There. Nice. Done. And when that's oiled up, that's going to look even better. I do probably need to just sand that lightly. There's a couple little scratches I can see. That's okay. Just want to get that base nice and dark. Alrighty, throw that away. High. There's a couple we need to level out, obviously, but we're not going to touch that until tomorrow. I just wanted to do the colour today. Get that guy all coloured up. Dries pretty quickly, you just touch dry. But that colour there, let's have a look at that on the other can, where the lighting is a little bit different. You should be able to see that, get a true indication of what that looks like. Okay, you can start to see that grain's popping through now. Okay, the front looks like that, and that's that combo. Really makes that mother of pearl pop as well. Those symbols are now popping with their white little symbols. Even the little markers down that end stand out because that neck's a lot darker from that beautiful white maple to that. If I put this back in here now and show you the whole thing, we'll have a little look. Back and front, that is. there's the front. Oh. Smoky, dark, smoky. I think that's pretty good. I don't think we need to go any further than that. All right, and of course the back now matches. You can see that colour, and when I do the back of that, it's going to blend in and be pretty consistent and nice. I've obviously matched the colour of the back with the front, so that dark area there will transition around the back here as well. And so will the moss, I guess, but that's that guy there. So it's starting to come along. Yes, Dana. Right there. See it? There it is. Done. Did yesterday while you were away so that you didn't have to be scared. Terry was a brave girl and she took it all on board. Like a brave girl. I really like that. That's it there. The shape's really, it's pretty metal. I like the shape of that. That's a pretty sharp, angry looking thing, don't you think? He's playing a lot of Doom stuff, so, you know, it's going to be pretty appropriate, I think, for the genre. I love that word, genre. Okay, let's pop that down. Let's pop this guy down. While that's drying, I may as well do the back now and get another coat on the back of mahogany, and then that leaves me just to sand the edges again this afternoon and then match the colour with the front. So I'm going to do the back to get it dark like that, so we have a nice red consistent base to work with. Watch me go. Watch me do this. This is great. This is fun. How much do I like colouring things, Dana and Terry? I don't really, do I, Terry? Do I really like to use colour? Mahogany. Peter Northcote, what an amazing talent. He streams while I get ready for work. Such a great way to start my day. Mario, my pleasure. Peter's a lovely man too. He's a great guy. He's a really, really laid-back, chill dude. Very experienced, has been in the industry for 40 years. Great player. Does a good live show on a Friday night, a Saturday night as well from a couple of clubs. So if you tune into him in the evenings, our evenings, in other words, your morning, on a Thursday or Friday, in other words, your Wednesday or Thursday, you'll see Pete playing live on stage at some club. It's a pretty good gig. You do not like it. What doesn't she like? Dana is a fembot. She never sleeps. That's true. That's bloody true. She's a robotic fembot. The girl that never sleeps is Dana, the fembot. Fembotic Dana. You can see there's a big difference there in the shade and the tone. So we've got to get that colour right before we start darkening things. And I'm running out of mahogany. No, I've got some there. It's just a small opening that I use so I don't spill the stuff because it's rare as I can't find the stuff. And I like to use small amounts just to control the distribution. You can control the depth of colour just by starting small and going deeper if you need to. If you start too dark, you've got to take stuff off. So I'd rather start lighter and get deeper as I need to go darker. Come on, man. There we go. Look at that camera flicking, Terry. Isn't it annoying? My God. Stop blinking. You're going to give me an epileptic fit. My God. That blinking is awful, Terry. What are we doing about this camera? We need to replace it, do we not? Okay, that's a nice even coat there. All right, how are we doing for time? Pretty early, but I don't have much to do today. So I'm going to see what else is happening. Let's let that dry. Let that little guy dry up a little bit. Put my gloves away. Throw this stuff away. I think I'm done painting at the moment. I'm going to let that dry now. Grab that guy and let it dry. Oh, that's looking really charcoaly now. That's really dried up. You can see that here. Okay, that looks burnt. It looks really burnt. So that's really cool. Just wipe that down. It's always picking up dust and stuff, but that's okay. Just give it a wipe. So that's our base there, and we're going to put our green. So as we said, Terry, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to go with a nice grass green over that black. And then we're going to use our little dab brushes and our steel wool, and we're going to go the lime over that, and then we're going to go yellow over that, and then I'm even going to go and get a little bit of brown, and I'm going to just run a little bit of brown and put some shadows in between the clusters. I've been looking at how to paint moss on rocks and trees particularly. So I'm going to start with that really dark, deep British racing green, that grassy deep green, and then we're going to go the lime over the top of that. Leave some black showing. Of course, I'm not going to be painting over it with a brush like a white wall. I'm going to dab it on and let the black shine through. No, it won't be all covered with green. It'll be mostly, it'll be green, blotchy padding of pads and clusters of green with a little bit of black showing through, right? So we've got to get that depth. We've got to get that shadowy depth. I'm going to practice again anyway. I've got a nice piece of wood here that's the same, and I'm going to practice on that. All right, let me see what's going on. What are we doing? What are we doing? Let me have a look. Let me have a look. What's going on? Johnny and Heidi are on. Hank Bud's on. Let's go to Hank. I'm going to flick you over to Hank now, and I'll join you in a minute. I just can't do much more at the moment. I want to let that dry properly. Let's get that going. Raid. Hank. Oops. Bud. I'm waiting for that to finish off. There it goes. So, thanks for being here, guys and girls. A little short one, 1 hour today. Am I an hour? Was it an hour, Terry? What's the time? Yes, depth. I like that. Thank you for that on board. The raid is created. I'm going to see you guys over there, and I'll see you again probably tomorrow. So tune in if you can, and we'll get more of that colour going. And I will see you then. So, hang in there. Have a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. I'll see you in in a day. Until then, guys, take care and bye for now. Catch you over at Hank's.